The ANC's two-day lekgotla happened at a time when the party just came out of another meeting where they would have resolved to reconfigure KZN and the Gauteng leadership PECs. Disciplinary issues and alliance disagreements are also at play. But the party says it's identified key priorities to address some of these issues. I'm joined now by political analyst Professor Sethulego Matebesi. Prof, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. I suppose they want us to believe that they can walk and chew at the same time, so they can try and address issues of governance, issues of service delivery, while at the same time wrapping around the knuckles some of the members within the party that are misbehaving and reconfiguring their provincial leadership that have performed poorly. Can they do it all?
Hi, good afternoon, Thabo, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yet again, what an interesting time, because reconfiguration has been a phrase that has been used in politics, but I think it will definitely take a center stage these days because it might have many implications for some. It seems as if this is a witch hunt, political witch hunt. But yes, those who are very close to power, who has the stronghold within the African National Congress, they align this particular decision that have been taken by the ANC to that whole promise that the ANC is on the part of renewal. But renewal, as coming from the ANC Luthula House, simply means that it is a painful part and it is a process, and the ANC is definitely on that part. But some of us knows that that process in itself will have implications for the African National Congress.
Stalwarts such as Nkosazana Zuma, Sibusiso Ndebele, Jeff Radebe, Batabile Dlamini, Bheki Cele are among the key figures in senior leadership considered to be the ones that might be brought into this reconfiguration. It's just that jobs for pals, creating something for them to do now that they are not ministers anymore or playing a meaningful role somewhere in government.
No, you're referring to very key figures of the African National Congress, irrespective of what happened in the past. We all know some of serious allegations against some of these members that you have mentioned, but also in terms of the stance of leaders such as Nkosazana Zuma, who publicly actually demonstrated that she is not aligning himself to the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. But once again, this for me also will demonstrate that the ANC will not bury those ones that perhaps have lost positions, but they will still utilize that. But going forward, it's fine to use these veterans, people who I think are very experienced politicians. The questions is, when is the ANC going to look at the future? Because this whole generational mix, it's a huge problem. And if you look at the mix and the composition of the ANC, even its NEC, we have seen some sporadic trends in terms of at least in getting young people. And that for me, it's a huge concern to say, but when will the young people within the African National Congress be afforded opportunities? And perhaps they will say that, yes, we've given the Ndulis and others opportunities and they are messing up.
That future is, of course, also bringing the question of Ramaphosa's successor. And that succession debate, I know they'll tell you in the ANC it's too early to even begin to have that conversation. But all these activities, all these actions, all these decisions for reconfiguration and so on and so forth, one can't help but think, does that play into that debate and conversation on succession?
Yeah, very, very difficult question to respond to, because I think it will be easy for us and even in the media at large to say perhaps these are once again had to do with the power struggles within the African National Congress. But my question is, if something dramatic and major happens tomorrow, does the ANC have to wait up until 2027? No, but we all know what happens with within organizations with such a large footprint, such as the African National Congress. In fact, history will provide us some glimpse as to how the ANC, navigates around issues of this particular nature. And that's why some of us will be able to point to whatever decisions us, whatever posture that we see from some leaders, your Gautengs and even KwaZulu, and even others, although in a very muted way, they are already casting an eye on the General Elective Conference of the African National Congress in 2027. And yes, to a certain extent, yes, definitely some may see this as a move to try and perhaps neutralize the other camps. But yet again, the question will be, but then what happens to the African National Congress? Because it seems as if each time such major decisions has to be taken, it is actually leading to bloodshed. And bloodshed, and this is now just figuratively, not, where it seems as if it's the ANC that fails to consolidate the little that is still there within the organization.
Speaking of consolidation, the little that is there within the organization, others call them, skirmishes within the GNU. Others call them deepening cracks. John Steenhuisen says no, they call for a reset. Whatever you want to call them. How are these playing out, particularly for the alliance partners who've already said that this GNU was a wrong decision, and they continue to say that within this alliance?
Yeah, Thabo, a very good question, because for me, this is actually a very typical example of some of the difficulties that the president now, who I strongly believe is in the middle of that, is a bit of pressure from within the African National Congress, within the Tripartite Alliance, and any other partners that have been blaming the president. And he has taken a bold step to sign, at least, Isabella Act, NHI, and now we've got Expropriation Act. So at the end of the day, it was expected, and we know the stance of the Democratic Alliance, but it will be very interesting whether they would now want to, renounce what they have gained in terms of government positions, and where some of their members have access to power at another level, which they never had. Will they now just give that, or is this now once again just public rhetoric where they are making this threat? And it's going to be very interesting going forward. But the moment the DA withdraws officially from the GNU, it's going to be very difficult for the African National Congress. And it will also be very interesting to see how they will now navigate around this conundrum.
Yeah, will it amplify the voices of the SACP within the Tripartite Alliance who have been opposed to this GNU?
No, I don't think so, because I strongly believe that what happens with the GNO, it's a miracle, and it's very commendable in South Africa. It is what it is, because at that stage, the question is, what is the alternative? And the alternative has been MK and the EFF. And my question is, would it have been a better situation for the African National Congress currently? Where are these progressive forces? We had them all along. At one stage, these progressive forces were there, and the ANC were leading in majority. And the question is, what did they offer for South Africa? So for me, it's just, once again, yes, some will say, but we told you so. But some of us also knew that the DA stands on these particular issues. And I don't think the DA will now actually take a back step, because they also have to, as answerable to their constituencies. And that's why these public threats, hopefully, and hopefully, it may not even lead to that, but they just want to demonstrate to their constituency that, look, we're not going to back on what we've promised them.
The lekgotla is, of course, aiming also at tackling some more key issues, interventions at tackling pressing socio-economic challenges. Is this a formation that is able, in earnest, with all their challenges, to give us that?
No, well, it is. It is. It's just sad that the ANC allowed itself to be used. Glorious organization, very unfortunate. The the environment within the ANC has become so conducive to people to do as they please at municipal level, regional level, provincial level, and almost every second government departments. It's shocking what is happening despite all these pronouncements against corruption and all that. And if you look at what is happening, that is actually the eroding the trust that people have in government, the trust that people have in the African National Congress, because at the end of the day, after this NEC, lekgotla, there will be feedback, pronouncements will be made, yet again promises that we will tackle corruption, but it will be business as usual. And that situation affects the man in the street, and unfortunately it's the man in the street who has to go out and ensure electoral victory for the African National Congress. So hopefully they will put tremendous pressure and ensure that accountability is the order of the day, and accountability starts with the presidency up until your local levels and branch level, where they take action against anyone irrespective of who he or she is.
Prof, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on this afternoon, Professor Sethulego Matebesi. There's some analysis on political developments and what's coming out of the ANC's lekgotla taking place over this weekend.